because listen, LinkedIn and all social media platforms and even Google, if you look at it, they're all, as I said, full of the buzzword culture. I'm curious, are there any things that when you're on LinkedIn, because you're very active on LinkedIn, by the way, impressively so, with a lot of really good content on all matters to do with collaboration, how to use the tool, and so on. So, I highly suggest following Jakob. But you spend a lot of time there, so you must be seeing all the inspirational quotes and inspirational articles about culture, about well-being, about work-life balance and psychological safety. No doubt all of these things are important. Are you at that stage where you're looking at that and you go, oh my God, I've had enough of this?
Yes.
It's just like, and if so, which bit really in the whole topic of how we work around workplace culture that really drives you nuts and you can't take it anymore?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Like I'm gonna have a freaking crowd with pitchforks in front of my house when I say this stuff. But like I think the big part is like the work-life balance bit. I think in Scandinavia especially, but I think it's growing even more global, and I actually seeing it very much in the remote work scene for some weird reason. Like this whole idea, or not the idea, but like work-life balance is for sure important. But there's a almost understanding or a discourse now that working hard is a bad thing, and caring about and it's almost a sickness when you care about work too much, right? And as a founder who works quite a lot and with colleagues who care a lot about building better and who are employees who also work a lot, like I almost feel like we're getting shamed for working a lot and for caring a lot about work. And it has this mask of well-being and personal wellness and stuff on it, but it's a really nasty discourse. And I just feel like this drags the world into a pit of not giving a fuck about something that's amazing and drive and something that gives tremendous value and tremendous sense of like self-enlightenment and self-improvement to a lot of people, and that it's almost bad to care about work. And that's something that I really really dislike. Now I'm caveating this because I need to caveat it. Yes, of course you need to take care of yourself. Yes, of course you need mental wellness. Of course you shouldn't go into burnout, and that's not what I'm advocating. But I think that there's just a big difference between pushing yourself into burnout and just really, really caring about what you do every day and going into that with passion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's the crucial piece of discussion that's missing, the misunderstanding of balancing the two of getting satisfaction from what you do, not being afraid of hard work, but then also incorporating an element, I need time off, rather than continuously plowing on, because you will reach burnout.
Yes.
You can only so long run on a half empty tank. So
Yeah.
you run out of fuel. So you need that element of it. But it's not to do, and I think you're right that there's a confusion between work-life balance and vilifying hard work and effort. Because there
Yep.
will be times where you will have to and want to work 12 hours a day for weeks on end. But
Yep.
then what's important in the work-life balance debate is what you do after. Is this a continuous state for weeks and months on end? That's when it's not
Yes.
sustainable. That's when
Yes.
the enjoyment, because you can only so long run on adrenaline and endorphins from getting the kicks out of what you do. But
Ah,
then
but now I see that is actually where I think that there's yet another really interesting perspective, namely, like, man, I work 60-hour weeks easy every week, and I've done that for literally years, years and years and years and years, right? And the secret, I think, or secret, I don't know whether it's a secret, right? But I think at least what enables me to do it is just this a sense of control over how I work and when I work, right? And a sense of like I spend time working out, I spend time eating well, I spend time with my family, but I also deselect a ton of things. Like I don't spend a lot of time with friends, which pros and cons of that, right? I don't spend a lot of time on hobbies. I don't like there's a lot of things that I don't do, but like I think I can easily like I think that the thing is not a sprinting, working 60, 70-hour weeks and then resting and then sprinting again. It's more about like how can you create that sustainability in your life that in important periods allow you to just consistently give it your all for long, very, very long period of time. And that's more about like this whole integration of work and life, if that makes sense.
I had a guest called Wim Fouquet on this podcast a while back, and we're talking about work-life balance and how actually it's a myth for the reasons that we've just been discussing. Mm, Mostly the way I say it is because work and life are not opposing forces, so you can't
Yes,
put it on the other two.
100%,
They're
100%.
integrated. And
Yes.
Wim introduced me to an interesting concept of energy balancing.
Ah,
So rather than
nice.
having working 60 hours a week for 2 months and then crashing for a month and then doing that all over again, do it on a smaller scale, right? Based
Yes.
on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, whatever, based on how much energy you've got to devote to something, and do that. Because I love what I do, but I know that I'm very prone to actually overdoing it. So I have to physically say to myself, no, this weekend,
Yeah.
laptop in
Yeah.
in the wardrobe or whatever, closed
Yeah.
off, right? I'm not touching
Yeah.
it. And I have
Yeah.
to be very intentional about it to be able to disconnect, because it's and it's also work as escapism.
Yeah.
Rather than, you
Yeah.
might have be going through some tough times personally that you need to deal with, but it's easier to devote yourself to work than actually
Yeah.
sit down and get in touch with what you're feeling, what's going on in your life, and how, for example, miserable or depressed you might be, right? It's easier
Yeah.
to escape to work. And I'll raise my hand. I've done that. I do that. Unfortunately, I'm prone to doing that. And it's easy to do that. That's why, even though I genuinely do love what I do, but sometimes to love it even more, I need to take a break from it.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you, and I hear you very much on the whole. Like when you take a break, you need to really know how to take a break, and that's something I wouldn't say I've been struggling with, but I've been learning how to do better over time. Like I think it's over a year now I've turned off all email and Slack notifications, for instance. I still have the apps on my phone, and I think that there's no way out, especially for a person in my position, to fully delete them. But I actually, over Christmas holidays, I deleted them from my phone even, right? Because I didn't need to see it right away, so I had to access them on my laptop when I needed to see them, right? But it is about creating these different like small paths of resistance to those habits of yours, so you can be present in the moment when you're present with your family, when you're reading a book, when you're doing other stuff outside of work to recharge and to balance.